Imagine you are going to work one day, then suddenly, kaboom! Someone drops an atomic bomb on you. Imagine it happens to you twice. So this guy name is Tsotomu. He is 29. He lives in Japan. He is naval engineer and he designed oil tanker ship. He is really a smart guy. And Tsotomu has been working out of town for about 3 months because he has been designing this new oil tanker ship. And it is last day working away from home. He is ready to leave that city. He just wants to get home so that he can be with his wife and son. So, anyways, he is walking to work on his final day and he is already dreaming about the day being over. And just as he reaches the shipyard, suddenly he hears the sound of airplane buzzing overhead, which isn't uncommon, but this plane sounds different. So he looks up and he sees that this is not a commercial plane. It's a military plane flying over the city. And as he is staring at it, something dropped out of the bottom of it. And as this object falls to the ground, Tsotomu is watching and trying to figure out what is it. And that is when, pow, a crazy bright flash fills the sky and blinds him for a moment. But in this split of seconds, Tsotomu is disoriented, but he knows that this bright flash is an explosion of a bomb and light travels faster than sounds. So he knows what is coming next. So he immediately dives to the ground for cover and he rose over into a ditch and covered his face with his hands and plugged in his ears, and just in time to hear a massive kaboom. And the force of this blast is so strong, it lifts him off the ground and flips him in the air, spin him like a tornado, and then bam! He slams to the ground and he's out. And when he regains consciousness, everything is dark and his ears are ringing, and he immediately thinks, oh shit, I am dead. And it takes him a moment to realize he is not. He is alive. And he is lying in a potato package. And he stands up and can barely see throughout the dead fallen ash around him. But off in the distance, he sees there is a huge mushroom cloud of fire rising into the sky. Because Tsotomu is in Hiroshima when it was hit by the world's first atomic bomb attack. And so he looks at himself, his face and his arms are badly bent and his eardrums are ruptured and everything just hurts. So he stumbles through the fallen ash with very little visibility and he makes his way to what is left of the shipyard where he works. And there he finds 2 of his co-workers. And they both also covered in an ash and they both also badly bent. So the 3 of them look at each other and they are like, what do we do now? Now here is the thing. Japan is in the middle of World War II right now. And the local government and the citizens, they have reconstructed air raid shelter all around the country to protect people in the event of bombs being dropped. So the whole country is being prepared for war. So the 3 men, they look all around and they find one of these air raid shelter and they go there. And they are inside the shelter and gathered together with some of the survivors. And it's there they hear their first bit of promising news. Somehow, one of the local train stations is still operating and the trains are still running. So the 3 guys crashed that shelter for the night. And the next morning, Tsotomu is like, hey, I need to get back home to my wife and kid. Now, unfortunately, his wife and kid are in another city, many hours away by train. So, Tsotomu and his co-workers, they all 3 set out on foot, determined to make it to this train station. And they walk all through the city, and it is apocalyptic hellscape. Everything is either covered in ash or just straight up on fire. And most of the buildings are completely decimated. But the absolute worst part is that the streets are filled with charred and melted corpses. So eventually, the 3 men, they get to the bridge and they need to cross this bridge to get to the train station. But of course, this bridge is no longer standing. At this point, it's just a pile of wreckage. But Tsotomu and the other two, they can't stop now. I mean, they have already gone this far. So they decide they have to wade into the river and swim across. But this river is filled with a layer of floating dead people. So they swim through it, and then finally they reach the train station. And Tsotomu, he gets on the train to go back home, and this train is packed with other people badly burnt who also survived the bomb. And this is overnight trip, so the next morning the train arrives at a stop, and Tsotomu, he gets off and he goes straight to the hospital. And the black and burns on his face and his hands are so severe that his doctor doesn't even recognize him. But he gets treatment, they bandage him all up, and he goes home to see his wife and son. And when he gets home, he's all squashed up and bandaged up, and his family doesn't even recognize him either. Regardless, he is with his family and he is alive and he is safe. Until the next morning, Tsotomu wakes up, and he is a man who is dedicated to his job. Because even though he is severely injured and mentally traumatized, he gets ready and he heads off to work at the home office in the city. And as soon as he gets to work and his boss sees him all bandaged up, this boss is like, "What the hell happened to you?" His boss kinda heard there was an attack on Hiroshima, but he doesn't believe Tsotomu would have survived that. So boss pulls him inside into the conference room. He's like, "Alright buddy, tell me what the hell really happened." And Tsotomu, he starts telling the story like, "Yeah, they dropped bomb on me back in Hiroshima, it was crazy." Of course, boss is like, "What? There is no way one bomb could destroy an entire city." And famous last words, because at that very moment, pow, a crazy bright flash fills the sky, the exact same flash Tsotomu saw before, and it blinds him for a moment. But he has been through this before, and he knows what is coming this time, and he immediately dived directly to the floor. And then a massive kaboom! All the windows in the office are shattered, the premium glass everywhere, and everything in the office is destroyed and blown over. And when Tsotomu comes to, all his bandage has been blown off, and everything around him is complete chaos. A second atomic bomb has just been dropped, and people are panicking and screaming. The whole city have just been destroyed, and even the building he is in is now mostly a skeleton. And so Tsotomu, he checked himself, and strangely, he's not any more injured than he already was, and he is relieved because he just survived 2 atomic bomb blasts, one in Hiroshima and another one 3 days later in Nagasaki. But then he remembers wife and son back home. He's like, "Oh shit, did the bomb get them? Are they hurt?" So Tsotomu, he runs out of the building, and he runs as fast as he can through the falling ash, and he is dodging fire left and right trying to get home. And soon enough he arrives there at his house, but unfortunately his home is no longer home because the whole thing has been reduced to a pile of wreckage, and he is devastated. How could this be? What the hell happened to his wife and kid? Alright, so here is what happened. Shortly just before the bomb dropped, wife decides, Tsotomu was burned up really bad. I'm gonna go to the store and get some ointment for him when he gets from work. So she takes the stand and she goes to the store, and that is when kaboom, the bomb drops. So luckily, the store is much further away from the blast where the house was. So wife and son end up having only minor injuries. But if you think about it, if Tsotomu hadn't been injured in that first bomb, then his family may have never gone to the store, and they would have probably died in that second bomb. That's crazy. But anyways, Tsotomu does of course had radiation poison, But he survived, and he eventually goes on to become a public speaker, speaking out against the use of atomic weapons. And he actually lived a long life after that. He lived to be 93, and then he died of cancer, likely related to being in 2 atomic bomb blasts.